All right, we're
And now let
live.
me. I was gonna wet my whistle. Wet my whistle, and here's a second intro for you.
Oh, I thought there'd be more to that second intro.
I'm a pause it. We're live again.
Okay, now I'm gonna be a second late. Okay, now we're gonna get the second intro.
So awkward silence.
Too late for me. All right, that was the immortal Christopher Cross with the hit song "All Right,"
Did
and it's
not hear.
pretty all right.
Didn't hear anything at all.
Nope.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I heard it.
I didn't hear nothing at all.
I had it in my mic. What am I crazy?
A little bit. We didn't hear anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, we're just sitting there in silence.
What the? How do I fix this?
What are you trying to play it off of?
I was playing it off my phone,
No, I didn't hear
like
it.
into the mic. You can't hear this?
No.
All right, well, forget it. It was Christopher Cross. It was all right. I guess that didn't work. I don't know why that didn't work.
Yeah, it should.
Mm.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. We're gonna make it anyways.
We're off to an underwhelming start.
Truly, that was gonna be like an epic start. But if that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. Everybody, you're gonna have to listen to Christopher Cross's hit "All Right" on your own. Sorry,
All
but
right,
that's
all
just
right,
the way
all
it's
right.
gonna be. I finally feel okay. Not really sick anymore. Me and Paul already had our first practice, just me and him, without our other guitar player.
Yeah, the sneaky
Yeah.
practice.
Well, remember how last week I was annoyed that you were participating in this without a mask after testing positive for COVID? Well,
Right. Yeah, I remember.
I tested positive on Friday.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I blame you.
Just
Now
pass it
you have
around.
COVID.
I do. Now, I mean, that said, I've got a stuffy nose, and that's basically it. But
You didn't get any of the bad symptoms?
no, no, no.
Oh, I had like a fever and like it was hurting my joints and
Making it
yeah,
hard to kvl.
yeah, it was making it hard to kvell. It was hard to dance to the gefilte fish blues. Well, at least you got the easy one. Damn you! You get all the easy ones.
Easy
Yeah, I'm
coping.
here. I'm here back at the shop, having a little drink, having a little smoke. I have the fans on. Can you guys hear them?
No.
We cannot.
Good. Just like the Christopher Cross song, you can't hear it.
Yep.
The
So
stealth fans.
besides me, you can't hear anything,
Yeah.
which is fine.
You're well insulated.
Yeah, here at the shop, we're here. We're queer. Get used to it.
Shop episode.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shop episode for me. Ah, fiddlesticks. I think I forgot my notes. Oh,
Ugh.
wait, no. Here they are. They're right here behind my computer.
Oh,
Okay,
thank God.
good.
Yeah.
Whew.
So it's gonna be a good show. We're gonna have fun until your daddy takes your T-Bird away. You guys know that
I
reference?
I remember that song.
Who is it? I'll give you $1 if you tell me.
Oh, is it Beach Boys?
It is the Beach Boys. You
Ah,
remember
I
that
thought so.
song,
Okay.
Paul? And we'll
Probably.
have fun,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's the one that goes. Oh, oh,
Yeah.
I think Anthony liked that one.
I used to hear a lot of Beach Boys in my youth.
The
These
Beach
days,
Boys.
it's not really my wheelhouse.
Oh, really? You don't like them anymore? I was
Ah,
about
I
to
don't
say.
I don't
I was about
dislike
to,
them. I just don't go out of my way to hear them. That's all.
Oh God, I haven't in a few years, but I feel like I need to change that. I was about to say all real metalers like the Beach Boys.
Hey, did you guys hear that? I say this in quotations. New Beatles song.
No.
I think I saw the video. That's the one where they like AI old Paul McCartney with his old dead band.
Yeah. So apparently, it was an old demo track that he had written after the Beatles, that's the part that confuses me. It was a John Lennon song they had written after the breakup of the Beatles, and then Yoko gave the tape to the remaining three in like the 90s or something, and they started recording a track for it, and they scrapped it at that point. And now they went back, used the AI to pull John Lennon's vocals out of that old demo, used Harrison's guitars from that session in the 90s, and completed it with the remaining two. And they released it as the last Beatles song. I mean, sure, it sounds like the Beatles. Whether you like it or not is up to you. But what I don't get, it was a John Lennon song written after the split up of the Beatles. It's not really a Beatles song, then, is it?
What is?
Or at least it wasn't
John
wasn't
Lennon
intended to.
demo?
Yeah.
Yeah, after the
Oh,
Beatles
okay.
disbanded, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
if I remember correctly, the demo is just him singing on the piano, and that's it. And they took that and just made a whole track out of it.
I mean, I don't see why not. Aren't the other Beatles? They're all dead, aren't they?
Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are still around.
Oh yeah, I forgot Ringo Starr is alive. I forgot about Ringo.
Best drummer alive, so.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. I always hear a lot of people talking shit about the Beatles too, but in their later years, think of what you want with their solo stuff, but the Beatles were cool. What do you guys think about that?
True.
Do you like the
What-
Beatles? I like the Beatles.
When I think of the Beatles, I do like some of their later stuff. I find the earlier stuff is very, very samey.
I like that stuff too. The like,
Like,
I want to hold
it
your
doesn't-
hand and shit.
I don't dislike it, but I do have like a threshold for it. Like after like half an hour of it, I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Was it Paul McCartney that did that song? It's just another day. Boo, 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 boo. Was that just him by himself?
I wouldn't know.
I think it might be. I like some of that Paul McCartney stuff, like Uncle Albert. Did you ever hear that song? Probably his best.
Nope.
No.
All I know is I'm hearing
Weird.
his Christmas song on the radio all the time, and I fucking hate that one.
Which one is that? I don't know if I've heard that. I probably have though.
It's one where it's like simply having a wonderful Christmas
Good
time.
Christmas time. I haven't
And,
heard,
like-
dude. I feel like I haven't heard that in forever.
Oh, you're better off. God, I hate that. Like and it's not even the singing that bothers me. It's like the music in the background. It's like, pew, pew, pew. What the fuck is this?
That sounds like Josh from Drake and Josh when he's doing the news broadcast. He's like, oh.
I wish it sounded that. I wish it sounded that good.
What about the Kinks Christmas song? Have you guys ever heard that?
Probably.
I probably have, but you'd have to tell me which one it is.
Father Christmas. It's like,
You got-
Father Christmas, give us your money. They're talking about like robbing Santa and like kicking the shit out of him or something.
You know what? Our
It's a catchy
family
song though.
radio station that plays Christmas carols around here does not play that one.
They don't play the Kinks Father Christmas. That's
No.
a good Christmas song. You don't hear that one really often on the radio. I think it was a hit, but you don't really hear people talking about the Kinks anymore unless it's like one of those rock and roll chicks that's into like Hendrix and Janis Joplin and stuff. Maybe they would bring up the Kinks, but besides that, and Little Vince. Besides them, I don't really hear anybody
yeah, this is
ever
little.
bringing up the Kinks.
This is little Vince territory right now. Let's get out of it. Just kidding.
Let's get out of it.
You guys do anything exciting over this week?
I watched for the first time just about every episode of the Tom Green Show. I had never seen his show. I had just seen Freddy Got Fingered, which is one of my favorite movies. And initially, well, Fred, you've seen the Tom Green Show, right? You're a Canadian, fellow Canadian.
Yeah. It's been a while, but yeah, I've seen it.
What did you think of it? If you remember anything about it.
I don't remember a ton. I didn't really pay close attention to it. I remember laughing, but it like it didn't go down as like my favorites or anything, right?
Yeah, it was brand new to me, and at first I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is pretty stupid, and like it's kind
Yep.
of funny, but as it goes on and as you watch more, it kind of gets better and better, and you kind of get a little bit hooked on it.
What,
And noticing, what's that, Paul?
what was first, the show or the movie?
Oh, the show. I think the show started as like a cable access show in like '94.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think he was pretty young there. He must have been like in his early 20s or something like that. And then it got picked up by MTV, and then that's where it kind of starts getting pretty good. I think I came across the one where he goes to Japan, which was like a big special, and it again, it's like they gave him all this money to go to Japan, and he does all this like really dumb stuff. They're one of the like better ones was he's on the bus and they're talking about they give a little bit of an introduction to like Japanese culture before he does things, and they give an introduction to like kind of etiquette where Japanese people basically are going to stay silent in public. They're not going to be loud and boisterous. They're not going to like say anything. You know, the ideal is to be like silent, especially on the bus. And Tom is on the bus and he's like, I'm going to ask everybody here to raise their hands and see who likes apples, bananas, and potatoes. And he kind of announces he's on a crowded bus. Everybody's looking down. Everyone's totally silent. He's like, all right, so raise your hands if you like bananas. And nobody does anything. And he keeps doing that. And one like old man finally speaks up. He goes, quiet, be quiet. He goes, what's that? Be quiet. And he's like, oh, I guess I've created a little bit of a, he's like, that's a little uncomfortable. And then they had like these monkeys that like are on the side of the road, and they catch one and put it in the van, and the monkey shits in the van, and then that becomes like kind of a that becomes kind of like a running thing where they try to get a bunch of animals in the van to poo in there. They get some chickens in there and whatnot. But I think it was pretty fun, and it's pretty funny. It kind of alludes a lot to the movie. Like there's a lot of the same kind of references to the show that go on in Freddy Got Fingered.
Mm.
And it's just like I finally realized like, oh, that's where Eric Andre gets his whole shtick from, is the Tom Green show. Eric Andre's show was the Tom Green show, but about 20 years later or something like that.
There's a new show on Amazon Prime, I think, and it's a Canadian version. I think there's an American version too, but Last One Laughing, and it has a bunch of different comedians, and Tom Green is one of them. I don't know if you guys know Colin Mockery, but he's a pretty well-known comedian in Canada, and essentially it's just like, I think it was like a dozen comedians that all get put into the same room together and just try to make each other laugh, and the last one not laughing wins.
Hmm.
And it's pretty fucking funny. I enjoyed it.
Tom Green win or what?
Mockery. Oh, I've seen this guy. He was on the Drew Carey like spin-off
Yes.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember him.
Tom Green, I mean, spoiler alert, but he did not win, but he was one of the last ones.
Oh, Colin from Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's funny.
Oh my god, I hurt myself laughing during that show.
Got COVID
I mean,
watching that?
both. Last One Laughing and Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Yeah, Tom, I think like he seemed to change his attitude up a lot as he got older, because like in the MTV show, there's a lot of going out in public and just making people angry with things that like aren't very funny, but if you put them on a show and you edit it the right way and you put like sound effects and things, it kind of makes it funny. But I can imagine in real life that would just be annoying. Where he like goes to a bingo hall with a bunch of old ladies, and he's the bingo guy, you know, and he's yelling and screaming, and a bunch of old ladies are leaving. He goes, why are you leaving? Goes, like, you're too loud.
So is Yucko the Clown better?
Is Yucko the Clown? That's another great comparison. Yucko the Clown.
That's just funny as fuck.
Well, Yucko the Clown, when it comes to like man on the street stuff, yeah, Yucko was funnier.
Yeah, because I could think just him, Billy on the Street, and then
Billy on the Street was fucking funny too. Fred, have you ever seen Billy on the Street?
No, that's new to me.
It was this
Billy
gay
Eichner
dude,
or something, right?
Billy Eichner, yeah, where it was basically like a celebrity. What would you even call it? Like a game show. It was a game show, but all the contestants were random people off the street, and he would kind of do the same thing and make everybody mad. And Just be like a sassy gay guy, but to a point where it actually worked.
Yeah, she was
To a point
hilarious.
where he was actually pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Billy Eichner, Yucko the Clown. You know Yucko the Clown from Stanker Vision or Damn TV.
No,
Damn.
no.
There's great compilations there. I'll have to send it to you. That's kind of good. Getting drunk with your friends and just put on a Yucko the Clown compilation. What he would do is he would like he was quick with like jokes, and he would make fun of like all the fat women and like ugly homeless people and stuff like that. It was while dressed like this shitty drunk clown. And he was also the guy who did a animated show that sucked really bad, which is a shame. What was it called? Brickleberry.
Oh, that.
Brickleberry sucked really bad.
Adult,
Like it's really hard to
adult
make
animation.
animated comedies. Yeah, because it always ends up looking the same. It always ends up looking like Family Guy, and it always ends up feeling like exactly that, like a Family Guy ripoff.
Mm,
I think Smiling Friends might be one of the exceptions
yeah.
for good animated shows. Besides that, like airport episode, that one wasn't very funny.
Oh, yeah. The Brazil.
Yeah, the Smiling Friends go to Brazil,
Yeah, it was kind
which
of.
is Zach Hadel from Oni Plays, which is great too.
I was gonna say
But what-
when you were talking about the subway, I saw like a video of a bunch of people in like the New York subway. They had like a fucking a foldable table set up, and they're like having fucking Thanksgiving dinner and shit in there.
I drove by the AM. Or I went to the AM PM to the gas station right around the corner from my house on Thanksgiving, and I saw a bunch of people standing around outside like eating. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot they do like free Thanksgiving dinner.
Hmm.
Mm.
And I remember Miguel asked me, he's like, "Don't you ever go get the free food?" I'm like, "No, I don't." I guess he does it every year. He like goes to the gas station and gets free Thanksgiving dinner.
There you go. Apparently, the Laugh Factory does that. They like put on a show and give a bunch of food out to people, and then like one of the comedians this year, like I guess got a DUI like later that night.
Oh, okay.
I was like, fuck.
Whoops.
Fred, you guys don't have AM/PM, do you? In Canada?
No.
Yeah, it's basically just like a 7-Eleven / gas station. But it's kind of funny that those places do the free Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. That's bizarre. I can't imagine like, well, first of all, our Thanksgiving's a different month here, but
Oh, it is?
yeah.
Yeah, give us that insight.
Yeah, no, Canada's all different.
I know you got Civil Service Day instead of Labor Day.
No, we have, yeah, exactly.
Wait, so is it called Thanksgiving in Canada?
It's called Thanksgiving, but like this year was on October 9th.
Damn, that should have
October
been
9th.
passed.
Well, what's the origin of like what's the holiday? Like, what's the point of the holiday in Canada? Is it different? Is it a completely different holiday, or is it kind of the same thing?
No, it's kind of the same thing, just on a different day.
Maybe the same thing happened but on a different day.
Yeah, a little earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, like a month earlier. The same.
Checks
The
out.
same basic story. Yeah, the same. The first. It was the first Thanksgiving, but in Canada it was October 9th.
I just pulled up the Wikipedia for Thanksgiving in Canada. And you know how they always have like an image to associate with the article? The image they have is people shopping for pumpkins for Thanksgiving in Ottawa's Byward Market in 1991. Like, what the? That's such a bizarre, random photo to
Oh, yeah,
put.
I'm looking at that.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, but our Thanksgiving doesn't have a date. It's the last Thursday of November. That's our Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, no, that's same sort of thing here. It's like
The first fucking.
first. I think so. It's the second Monday in October.
The second Monday in October. The last Thursday in November. No, the second Monday in October. Okay.
Yep.
It's like, oh, the 9th. That's so strange.
That. I mean, I'm not going to argue that point. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Why
me and
couldn't they just do
Paul-
the first Monday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or the last.
Yeah, me and Paul got to
or
watch.
just pick a number of the month and go with that. I guess I want to keep the
Exactly.
long weekend.
They
Yeah.
should, but whatever. I was gonna say me and Paul got to watch an episode of Bottom and an episode of The Young Ones, which
Oh,
are
yeah.
like two of the same.
That shit was great.
You like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that after Cheers. I'm on season 9, so I'm almost there.
Yeah, it's for anybody who doesn't know, it's I think people may recognize the name Rick Mail. He was in a movie called Drop Dead Fred in the 80s with what was
I
that
take
chick's
offense to
name? With Phoebe Kate from Gremlins. She has like an imaginary friend and it's Rick Mail,
that.
which is Paul you know as Richie or the main guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Phoebe Kate and her imaginary friend is that wacky like British a-hole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess there's a reason that the black metal guy likes the young ones, and also what's his name? Alan from Primordial is a big fan of Rick Mail.
Huh. That's news to me.
Yeah, that'll be a new arc for me after the British arc.
British
I
Shark.
mean, yeah, I mean you said you liked the Monty Python show.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
just kind of getting a little bit of a sample of each show. It's definitely worth it. I mean, what else are you
Dude,
gonna
just
watch?
that the gas one was just hilarious.
Yeah, the gas man one was good. They're like beating the gas man to death. They're like beating his head in with a frying pan and like kicking the shit out of him. And they put him under the carpet to hide his body and they're like stomping on it and it's making all those stupid sloshing sounds.
Oh, they stab him with the fork.
Mhm, yeah, they stab
They're
him with the
like,
balls of the fork.
let's
It's
eat him. And then they break through the neighbor's fucking door without him, or his wall without him waking up.
yeah, and then
with
there's
his
just
bird.
a ton of with his bird, and there's a ton of like what do you even call that? Like Richie being like a fucking sex pest.
Yeah, that shit was funny.
There was some other show I was gonna bring. Oh, I watched the I forget what it's called, Civilization or Underground Civilization, the DC death metal documentary. That was actually pretty cool.
Was that what you were sharing?
Yeah, so it basically covers like the history of Deceased and Mordecus, or not Mordecus, Morbius
Oh,
and
that's cool.
Abominog. And there's like a ton of old pictures and a ton of old like clips and footage from those shows. And it basically like those three bands like ruled that scene at the time and
Yeah,
like
the
invited a
Virginia
bunch
scene,
of other.
right?
I believe it was Washington D.C.
Oh, okay.
I think it kind of I think bands from Virginia were like kind of involved a bit. Like they didn't really talk about Argus Lent, but
Well, that's where Abominog's from.
from Virginia?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking of a different place? Where the fuck is Deceased from? Didn't say Washington D.C., but it said D.C. Death metal.
Yeah, it's all the same right there. It's all really close together.
Yeah, but yeah, there was like a ton of fucking like Argus Lent logos on the flyers and on the T-shirts because I think it's Morbius that has like members
Yeah.
of Argus Lent that joined or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think Sylvester
weird.
was in either GBK or Argosland. Yeah.
Oh, Sylvester. Okay. Yeah, they had interviews with the two brothers, and there's like all kinds of talk of like people breaking their ribs and getting their arms broken in the pit, and apparently there's like a shitload of drug use going on, or there was in that scene when all those guys were really young.
Yeah. Yeah, really early on with that band, they had a guitarist that was in Thok, Argus Land, Grand Blowski, and Twisted Tower Dire.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff may have came later. I mean, they didn't really get into everything. They really just talked about what was going on in at the venues, and that was basically it. You get a lot of strange stories from King Fowley. There's one where he says there's one where he says he like took a swordfish off the wall of one of the venues and he went in the bathroom and fucked it or something.
I mean, who wouldn't?
I mean, who would? Well, King Fowley did apparently. No, but he goes, I didn't actually fuck it. I just rubbed my dick on.
Oh well, in that case.
Yeah, as far as like metal documentaries go, that's a pretty good one. I would suggest that. Along with I don't think I've ever talked about the Rigor Mortis documentary.
Mm-mm.
That's narrated by Phil Anselmo.
Oh no.
Rick,
Oh
Rigor
no.
Mortis was the heaviest band in the VFWC.
No, that's pretty good too. The Rigor Mortis documentary and the this underground civilization one. I found it on Amazon. You can just rent it there for like $1.
Hmm.
So don't be so stingy if you really want to watch something decent.
We'll do that.
Oh, and hey, new release out on Bunsen Burner.
Dude,
That
I
bears
was
mentioning.
telling. I know. I was telling myself just before I got in here. Okay, mention the new release, and then here I go, not doing that.
We'll cut it.
Shit, I should have put that at the beginning. Okay, but anyways, yeah, we have a new release. I don't exactly know how to pronounce this band's name. Occlude? That's the
Occlude,
way
yeah.
it's spelled. Occlude. Occlude from Chile. And, well, Fred, you listen to it, and you actually liked it pretty good, right?
Yeah. This one's
What do you think of
it's
what
such
do
a
you
it's
think
such
of
a
their side?
weird it's such a weird pairing. What did I think of which side?
Well, what do you think of the whole thing? Since
The
you
whole
were already
thing?
kind of going that way, anyways.
The whole thing is fucking great, honestly. I think it's one of your best releases so far on the label.
Why? Thank you.
Oh. Uh, Occlude is awesome. I love the sound they have on this. I think the production really kind of puts it through the stratosphere because it's this really dirty kind of thrash blended with Mediterranean-ish black metal. You have that really like gritty bass sound poking through the
Yeah,
whole thing.
the giant bass helps a lot.
Yeah, but then you still have like that thrash in there, like I think I said Mutilator or some sort of South American death thrash punching in there.
Yeah,
It's a
Mutilator
really
was a
cool
great
mix.
one.
Yeah, it's a really cool mix, and that hearing that kind of sound with a bit of a thrashier tone to it, you don't hear that very often. So I thought that was really cool.
And technical drumming too.
Yeah, yeah. Droom threw me for a loop. What a weird
Had you not
recording you
heard
guys
that
did with
before?
that one. No, I hadn't. I hadn't.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew that existed. Which is why I'm
The
like, Occlude had a short enough runtime, and so did Droom. So I figure, why not just kill two birds?
Yeah, fair. Well, I mean, like I said, it's a great pairing, but I'll get into that in a second.
Hmm.
Droom, the first thing that hit me in the face when I heard it was disharmonic orchestra, and I think the artwork for the Droom half kind of pushed me in that direction before I even hit play, because it kind of reminds me of the Not to
Yeah.
Be Undimensional Conscious
Yes,
cover.
yes, that's what I was going for. That's actually like public domain shit. I forget the name of the
Oh,
artist.
really?
It's some woman who's like one of the most popular. I guess you would you call that surrealist art? I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it
It,
looks
it
real.
looks like Dolly.
It does, yeah, yeah. One of the imitators. I didn't want to get Dolly, so I got the next best thing, which was like this woman who was an imitator. I think it's an old painting. It's from like the 20s or
Non-union
something.
Mexican equivalent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's a great recording. It's a wild listen. I saw you put multiplex on there as the in the descriptors as well. That's a good call out too. But the pairing of the two, it's such a weird pair, and it works. I think there's nothing worse of having a split release where two bands that sound similar in style, and if they're not like directly on par in terms of quality, then one band just outshines the other. And it just so happens that both recordings are fantastic, but because they're completely different styles, they don't get lost in each other either. So they both stand out, and that's how a split should be, I think.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way Sarnath and Namacon are. They're
Yeah,
similar enough, but they're also they're different enough to where each thing kind of speaks for itself.
yeah, but when you think about all these black metal splits, aside from a few of the classics, there's usually always this one band on there that just trounces the other completely.
Yeah, well,
And
yeah. A lot of the time, people forget that the other band is even there.
yeah, exactly. And I don't think that's the case here, but the one thing I will say is I wish that both bands were on the cover.
Oh,
What do
you
you
mean
mean?
at the same time, like on instead of flipping it?
Yeah, because Droom doesn't get as much attention because of that, right?
Well, I don't. I wanted to give Occlude their moment to shine because Droom. I mean, Droom really was just one of the like many side things that we did in 2021.
Mhm.
But you can take the booklet out and you can flip it over and you have yourself. There you go. I made it
Yeah,
like
no,
that on
that's fair.
purpose. Well, you didn't get it yet. You will get a free one, and I still got to send. I still got to send a bunch to Chile. So there you go.
What did Occlude say when you proposed a split release?
They were cool with it, and well, they didn't really say anything about our side. I don't know if they listened to it or not, but they were cool with. I don't know if they listened to it or not, but they were cool with doing a split, and they were happy about it. They were like super fucking grateful that because they even asked me, they're like, do we have to chip in money, or do we have to pay for this? I was like, nah, you guys are set, you're good.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they're surprised they were getting attention with a recording like that. Like that was
Yeah, and that was just a demo, right?
yeah.
It's a little demo, and those guys, I didn't find them. They messaged us.
Oh,
There
right on.
was yeah, it was kind of a 50-50 thing because I paid for the the dungeon crypt side, and I told Paul, I was like, we have two bands that want releases. Which one do you want? We had Occlude, who's like, yeah, basically a thrashy death metal kind of thing. I kind of equated them to like the Funebre album a little bit, just because that one has a lot of like strange thrashy parts to it and a little bit of like technicality. Um, and then the other band that messaged us was a depressive black metal band with a ugly baby on the cover, like
Yeah.
it was like a baby in a dumpster being chewed on by rats. And anybody who
That's
listens
that's a
to
that's a no go for you, isn't it?
Yeah, that was like
yeah,
the
I
baby.
really I hate for the most part, not all the time, but I hate babies on covers. It has to be a very specific thing. Like Apoplexi's baby looks good.
Yeah.
That band Confusion Corporation, that baby's good. It's
Like
like
Yattering.
dripping with sauce. Yattering had a baby
Yeah.
on the first album.
It may be it's probably a different cover.
Oh, that album. No, that doesn't look good, but that's a good album.
Yeah.
So
Something
yeah,
concept or something.
it had to be the death thrash band. I don't really. I mean, the depressive black metal band. I can't. I'm sorry, but I don't remember what the name of the band was. He had all his shit ready, and he was like ready for a booklet and everything. But Paul chose Occlude, and I kind of agreed with him. And I kind of don't think that depressive black metal would. It. I don't think it fits with the label. Is it just me?
You haven't had any on there yet, but I mean the labels have pretty varied so far, right? Between Dungeon Crypt and Warrior's Chalice, obviously being all over the place. Ortholan, like it's been a good variety of stuff
It's
on
a
there,
variety
right?
of
So
stuff. I only say that because I'm personally not a huge fan of like depressive black metal. Maybe Abyssic Hate, maybe Forgotten Tomb. That might be it for me. And maybe like a little bit of Silencer, even though I know some people hate Silencer.
I think the only so a lot, pretty much all the bands that have been on Bunsen Burner so far have had a lot of more traditional metal influence at the very least.
Yes,
Whereas
that's
I don't
that's
think
exactly
DSBM really does very often. So I think it would stand out. Whether that's a bad thing, I don't think that's necessarily the case. If it's a good recording, it's a good recording, right?
that's right. That's why I'm glad I can't remember the name of the band because I thought it was okay. Like barely okay. I'm sorry if that guy is listening. I don't think he is. I think he just probably like found a label, messaged, and yeah, no go. But occlude, they fit the bill, as what's his name would say.
Yeah.
You know, for DSBM, do you guys ever hear the band Veil from the US?
No.
No, I only heard
So
anti.
Anti's
so
great.
is it anti-German?
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
what they
okay.
were.
Insignificance of life.
Veil looks good. I like their album art so far.
Yeah. So the demo, Dolor, that is incredible. Like Somber is fantastic too, but Dolor is just probably my favorite DSBM recording.
I think I spelled Veil wrong. I did. I was looking at a different Veil. Okay, Dolor. Let's see what this looks like. That looks like kind of a BBH or like Ulver kind of thing, or like Horn.
So
the early Horn albums. That's what that looks like to me.
You know, it's funny that you say it looks like BBH because it doesn't sound like it, but the demo and the album were both issued on Stellar Winter, who did release some BBH stuff.
Yeah, I have one of those releases, one of those
Some. It's like all the fucking
Brannicle
Brannicle.
releases.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they
was
were
it all of Brannicle that
Seems
was
like
not
it.
released on
all, but there
Sony?
was a lot.
Yeah, fuckload of full
Okay, yeah,
lengths.
yeah, that's where I learned of Brannicle. I bought like a blind buy at Dark Realm Records, the dudes from Statistic Intent. I just
Mm.
I forget the name. It's like something with KVEL or something. It's like the Viking ship that it's like being swelled up by the waves. That album.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was my first introduction to BBH without ever hearing of them before.
Yeah, kvlt. That one's. I was gonna say that's a good one, but they're all really good. So
Yeah, I got that one, and then I got a band from Greece. They were called End, and I might want to cover that at some point, just because it's kind of interesting.
Hmm.
yeah, fair. Yeah, I'd be down for that. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
want what's that?
cause like this weekend I went to a William Blake museum or exhibition at the Getty Museum. So that was pretty sick. He did the painting of the Atomic Rooster, Death Walks Behind You.
Yeah, is that the one with the that's the one with like some big buff naked dude? Yeah, yeah. It's like the naked dude like in the cave with like long fingernails.
Yeah, apparently that's like supposed to be like a from like a verse in the Bible or something, like the story of Daniel, where he's like some king that's like all prideful and then gets punished by being like a beast and shit.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, a beast, man.
Yeah, but yeah, that was sick. I would totally recommend going there if you're in the area, because I was gonna segue it.
Guess I'm not going.
I was gonna segue it earlier when we were talking about Bottom, because they're from Britain, or this guy's an English poet and painter, but he's like all into like doing mystical shit, and like all his paintings that were not commissioned, like were his own works. They had like a sort of mythology to them, where he had certain characters that had like counterparts of like the male and female counterparts to it, and a lot of his paintings just like depicted basically like the resistance between like reason and the imagination and shit. And that shit was really sick. So I got like the book there, so I'm gonna read that up.
Yeah, much like William Blank, Bottom is very high class stuff.
Very British.
A very high class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, you saw. I like Richie's character in Bottom, where it's like he's got these oversized, like goofy fucking jeans on, and his like shirt tucked in, and he's like always sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other dude, you said looked like Anthony Fantano.
Yeah, he does.
My needle drops.
Yeah, that character in that show is called what was his name? His name's Edward Hitler. That's his name. Yeah, there you go. Oh, and I kind of found it interesting. I actually listened to Immortal Hammer when you were posting about that.
Is that a fun release?
Yeah, it's like some of it is like really fucking bouncy and
Oh,
really
with the fucking
like
program
electronic
drums
sounding. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. I like the fact that the guitars are really flat and mixed with the electronic drums. It makes it. It reminds me of like what Ross or Chester would do on their first two releases, where it almost sounds like a video game soundtrack or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus you get those like yelling Slavic vocals that who else does vocals like that? Yelling Slavic vocals. I guess
A lot of
Nitberg,
a lot of the Czech and Slovakian bands.
I guess later on Blazebirth Hall does that.
Yeah.
Well, the one that really made me think of, and I posted them today. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this because I have no idea how to pronounce a circle over top of a U. But Stini Plamenu, a Czech band that started off like their first three albums are all programmed drums, and it sounds pretty similar to Immortal Hammer. And they are black metal whose lyrics revolve around sewers and sewage, and that's a thing. But they are fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty filthy. That sounds all right.
Yeah, they're great. They used to be. So it's another Barbarian Wrath band, which
Oh, okay.
you know how I feel about that label. And but I mean, they're obviously no longer on Barbarian Wrath, but the albums they've been releasing since then are still great. And he's got another band called, and I'm going to butcher this too, Umbritka, or something like that. And like they've released, I don't know how many albums, must be like a dozen, if not more. And half of the album covers are just trains. The guy behind these bands, Lord Morbivod, is fucking weird. But I mean, I'm not too familiar with his other projects, but Steny Plemenu, fantastic, love it.
Kind of reminds me of
So
this other band I was thinking of. I don't know how to pronounce their name. It's Wandering Wind, but in Polish. And they had this other band called Swars or something. Trying to find this, but they had I think they were called Swars. They had a really cool. They have a bunch of albums. It's like atmospheric pagan black metal, but you get straight up like, I don't want to call them hardcore vocals, but it almost sounds like that. That's like kind of what the Slavic
Yeah.
translation like comes out to.
okay, okay.
All right, guys. Here's a little game. So there's gonna be 3 albums coming out. What's your pick on the best one? So we got a new Verathron album.
Ooh,
We got a new Demon Sea album coming out, and then we got a new Dusk album coming out.
Dusk. Which Dusk?
Let's see.
The Death Doom Dusk.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know about that one. So this might not be fair because I've heard 2 of the 3 albums.
Ooh.
The Verathron is fantastic.
Oh,
It's
is it?
excellent. Yeah, it's a very good album. The Demon Sea I've heard as well. I haven't spent as much time with it. It
Heard a little bit of
is,
Demon Sea.
yeah, it's good. It not quite. I mean,
Sounds a little bit more of the same, I think.
it sounds like Joined in Darkness, but not Joined in Darkness, and that's not necessarily it's not a complaint, but it's not as I don't know. It'll sound like I'm bitching either way. Like if it sounds too much like Joined in Darkness, then it's just a copy. But if it sounds too different, then I'm going to complain anyways. But it sounds like Joined in Darkness, and hearing more of that from them is nice. It's a good album. But if I had to pick between that and the Verathron, it's Verathron hands down. But as I spend more time with it, that might change. But right now, it's definitely Verathron. Dusk, I had no idea about, so that's
Does
one I'm going to
Dusk
look
have
into.
any does Dusk have any like samples or anything that's like available to listen to, or are they just coming out with an album?
I'm not sure. They probably got something.
Out of those 3, I mean, I just heard a little bit of the Verathron, the Hegemony of Chaos from a month ago, and that's pretty promising. I mean, I don't think Verathron has ever really done anything offensive. I think they've always kind of stuck to being a pretty good band.
Yeah.
Demon Sea, they're kind of sticking with their like Black Death war metal sound. Not really war metal, but kind of the like, I call it the Belial sound because that's like the first band that I can think of that sounds like that. It's like a darker atmosphere death metal. And I heard a little bit of Demon Sea. I mean, I know Jub talked about like Demon Sea kind of switching back and forth between Black Death in that sense, and then like second wave black metal, so they kind of do both.
Yeah.
Like on certain albums.
Mhm.
And I kind of find their like second wave stuff more interesting. But like
Yeah.
I said, Join the Darkness is pretty great. I do like that one. But looking at these, I mean, Verathron, yeah, it seems like the most solid. I haven't heard anything from Dusk, but I mean, it's Death Doom, and Dusk did have some pretty good shit. But when it comes to like death metal bands that have been around since the 90s, it feels like it's hard for them to not kind of shit the bed. I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess
It
the
feels
last.
like-
I don't know. I don't know about shit the bed. Maybe repetitive, but like I find a lot of the bands are still around, or at least putting out solid stuff. But there's definitely
they're
there's no urge to innovate, right?
No. When I think of this, I'm specifically thinking of like Suffocation or like Immolation or something, where they kind of keep, or like Cannibal Corpse for that matter. It's like they kind of keep putting out the same thing over and over again, and it's not. I don't know. It's kind of like, who cares? You know. I'm sorry, but
I mean, yes
more
and no.
interested in Verathron.
For a band like Cannibal Corpse or Incantation, for me, they are always releasing the same, or at least very, very similar albums. But if you like that style and you just want a good album to put on and enjoy, it'll do the trick. But if it's a band like Suffocation, whose newer stuff sounds very sterile to me, doesn't that doesn't do anything for me.
No, but
I don't
it's
know.
like to the point of guys like us where we're constantly going back and finding things we haven't listened to, like from the '90s,
Mhm.
all the way up to like maybe I don't know 2005 or something. It's like there's so much stuff to discover in there when it comes to some of these older bands like Suffocation, Immolation, and Cannibal Corpse, coming out with new stuff. It's almost like there's no time and there's no there it's hard to appreciate like mediocre work as opposed to something that was like really innovative, that's older that we haven't heard before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of unfair to say that they're not innovating because I mean, look at Cannibal Corpse. They've been at it since 1990. They're pioneers of the genre, and they've done their dues, right? Like they're not rehashing material. Well, I mean, this is their material. Like this is what they founded. Like they're part of the formative bands of the genre in the U.S.
I get that.
And for them to like, it's not like they're copying other stuff that came out. They're just doing what they've always been doing. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I will say, like, I haven't bought any Cannibal Corpse albums since Gore Obsessed. That's like what, 20 years ago.
That was a good album. That had
But
Pit of Zombies on it,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great
which is
album.
one
And
of
you
their
know what?
best songs. Yeah.
I've heard most of the albums after that, and they're all good. They're all fun, and I haven't bought any. But let me tell you, when Cannibal Corpse do eventually break up, that will be a very sad day because
You're not gonna cry,
it's
are you?
just good. It's just good to know they're there.
Yeah, kind of like Cobra. He's always gonna be there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I stopped at
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
Evisceration Plague or something with Cannibal Corpse.
that was a good one too.
Yeah, then there's like 5 albums later.
But that's
Although,
what's so funny. Evisceration Plague. That's when I like found Cannibal Corpse when they had come out with that album.
Yeah.
I was still in middle era. I was probably in like early high school, middle school when I heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Must have been 2006 or something.
you know what though, there was so much hubbub around the last album, not the last one, the one before, Violence Unimagined, because of Rutan being in the band now.
That
And
one
I
was
did give it a
decent. I
listen,
heard
and
that.
he has injected some new life into that. Like
He really did. Yeah, that's true.
it's a bit more technical, it's a bit more wild. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with the albums that came before that, but the last two albums, Violence Unimagined and Chaos Horrific, it's it's rejuvenated them. It's I would almost compare it to when Mortus joined Marduk. That was like bringing them back to life.
Well, that's kind of alien to me because I'm not really a Marduk guy. I mean,
Oh,
I heard I heard the first album. I thought it was pretty cool. Um, and then honestly, over the years I've heard some stuff, nothing really grabbed me. And then you sent me the new shit. You're like, hey, check this out. Like, really give it a listen. And it was actually
mm,
really cool. It reminded me of like the new Samoth or something. It's like cool Norse core shit. But yeah, I've kind of
yeah.
ignored a lot of the Marduk stuff just because I've always heard so much bad things about them. Kind of the same thing with Dark Funeral. It's been like the same
You know,
situation.
both band get a bad rap, especially Dark Funeral, because they really like dig their heels into that exactly what they're doing and just don't move. Um,
Yeah, but Dark Funerals kind
uh,
of put themselves into like a rock star position in certain ways.
but they have, but at the same time, if you listen to their
They
like
rock.
any of their albums, they're not doing anything different from like Secret of the Black Arts, which is a fantastic album. It's not as memorable and it might
I
be a bit
can't
better
say.
produced, but like they haven't changed their style at all. Like they haven't gone mainstream. It's just still Norsecore for lack of a better term. But I think their imagery is what's gotten them into a bit of hot water, I guess, with the black metal fans out there. But
Are those the same for the
Marduk,
Watain fans?
oh, no, that's a different story. But Marduk's a bit of a different story. Like they started off really, really strong, uh, and I think like towards the end of the '90s, they kind of got into a bit of a rut. Like Panzer Division, a lot of people really like that album, but to me, it's a little monotonous because Legion has
Yeah.
a very monotonous voice too, right? And that kind of drags some of the albums down. So Panzer and then La Grande Danse Macabre and then World Funeral kind of like stagnate a bit. They're still like, they're not offensive albums, but they're definitely like not exciting. But then a year after World Funeral came out and Mortis joined and they dropped Plague Angel, that's one of their best albums. Holy shit. Plague Angel's incredible. And the albums that have come out since then, I mean, it's still Marduk being Marduk. They're either doing an album about World War II or an album about that looks like, you know, medieval Satanism. It's one or the other.
Yes, exactly. It's either World War II or like some cult Satanism or something.
So I mean, they're still very much doing their thing, but they've ever since Mortis joined, they've turned it around, and the last album just absolutely smokes. The one from this year, Memento Mori.
Yeah,
there's some of their best tracks on there.
Yeah, those were great. It's funny you bring up. I forget exactly what you brought up. Panzer Division. I was gonna say, Jubb from Radio Free Innsmouth. That was like one of the reasons he didn't like, or he talked shit about Marduk, is because Panzer Division is so monotonous and it's just constant blast beat the entire way through, and not much is changing. And it's funny, Paul. I wanted to tell you about this. I actually heard an episode of the Hate Bus like maybe a week or two back, and I guess a big reason that Jubb kind of like doesn't like Justin Horville, or he like disrespects his opinions or whatever, is because he said Cannibal Corpse sucks. So there's the opinion. Jubb thinks that Cannibal Corpse sucks. He didn't specify what albums. He just said they suck.
Yeah, and then we got the biggest stan over there, so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I wanted to give a shout out to Terminus once again, because they gave us like 3 shout outs on their live stream the other night.
Yeah, and they gave Fred. They gave Fred a.
Yeah, they gave Fred a shout out too. They gave Black Death Horizon a shout out because apparently, how did that even come about? Where you guys were talking about Graveland? Because I'm not a big Graveland guy either.
We were just chatting on Instagram, and I don't know how we got into talking about Graveland, but the topic of my favorite album came up, and my favorite's Immortal Pride. And I don't remember what was said verbatim, but I don't think he was particularly into that album, and I just said to check it out again, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, hands down their best. And I guess he did, and I guess he liked it a lot more than he remembered.
There you go.
Yeah, I actually finally got to listen to that too. But I had told you I had only listened to the first 2 Graveland albums.
Yes, I remember being horrified.
Yeah, man. I Graveland was just not one of those bands in my repertoire at all. But somebody on YouTube commented that it was like if Burzum's the Dottie Balders, if that had actual guitars and stuff, that's what it would kind of be like.
I mean, it's no secret that the Conan and the Barbarian soundtrack is a huge influence on Darkin's music. And
I didn't know that.
Oh, it is. And on Creed of Iron, that's the first album where he really kind of took the full that second step of sound that he had in the Graveland discography, and kind of went full bore with it. But if you listen to the synths in that, if you took away all the guitars, you'd basically have what the Conan soundtrack sounds like. And that's kind of what he did with the Lord Wind project as well. I mean, the newer stuff that he's been putting out with that is a bit more folk-oriented, violins and stuff like that. But
yeah, surprisingly enough, I actually did hear the Lord Wind, some of that stuff.
Yeah, so that first album, Forgotten Songs, is a lot more like, it's like a martial ambient sort of thing. Like a lot of the Polish bands did that. They had tracks like that, like Perun Wit had albums like that, and
like
Full
the
Moon
martial industrial kind of thing.
Not industrial. It's like just like strummed guitar, but folky.
Okay.
But,
yeah. That's what Immortal Pride did sound like. There's a lot of just regular, what you would expect from like a regular chord guitar. There's not much actual metal going on there, but it's interesting and it's really cool.
But then the next couple albums, like Heralds of Fight and Rites of the Valkyries, those are a lot more like synths and choral vocals, and those are very heavily influenced by the Conan and the Barbarian soundtrack by Basil Poliadoris, if I am pronouncing that correctly. But there was even a Graveland release, and I forget. Here it is, Tribute to the King of Aquilonia. That's a Conan reference.
York Central. I'm just kidding. No, it's funny that the black metal guy when he mentioned you, I don't think he knows that you're a like a host on this show, because he's like Black
I
Duck
think
Horizon.
I think he did because we chatted about it, but
Yeah.
maybe he forgot. I don't know.
Yeah, he's like he goes, I think he's friends with the Bunsen Burner guys. That's what he said. And then Paul was in there asking about what they thought about Kaler synth and shit.
Yeah,
God.
they were talking about Dungeon Synth, and I was like, "What do you guys like better, that?" Because they were kind of talking shit about Dungeon Synth.
Yeah,
Oh, that's too bad. I love Dungeon Synth.
I like some of that. Say
Keller
Fred,
Synth is it's like a video game soundtrack on acid, and
yeah, that's kind of what they brought up.
it's fun in short bursts. Like I probably 2 LPs of Keller Synth really of music.
We got a fan.
I mean, 2 LPs out of 5,000 items in my collection. I don't know. But like, I'll throw them on once in a while, and like by the time I'm done side A, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. That's all I need for this
Say
quarter.
Fred, have you? I don't think we've ever talked about Dungeon Synth really. Have you ever heard of a group called Serpent's Isle?
Serpent's Isle? I don't think so.
Oh, I think I remember you showed me them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite Dungeon Synth projects. I
Oh
forget.
wait, is that the guy from
That's
Drew Dan Forest?
Mist. What's the name?
Drew Dan Forest?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think he only has the one project where there's
Chaos?
actually. Yeah, I think there's only the one project where it actually has guitars in it. But he's it's like Consirius Mist or something. That's like his main project. Oh, and
Oh no, sorry. I just looked up V Chaos. Apparently, his Dungeon Synth project has Old Serpent's lore. So no, I don't know the one you're talking about.
it's really cool. It's like Dungeon Synth based off of like sea serpent lore and like cryptozoology and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's the I forget the name of the other band he was in. It's called like Broken Sword or something.
Huh. Yep,
Well, his main
not familiar
project's
with that.
called is it Consirius Mist? Yeah, just look up Serpent's Eye. We found it on Bandcamp. Oh, Lost Armor is the name of the fucking label that these guys are on.
Well, let me tell you, one of my first Dungeon Synth encounters. No surprise here. Was Mortis. You know, I got into Emperor, and I'm like, what happened to Mortis? And started listening to his stuff online. And one day I was at a secondhand CD store and found a copy of his first album. Again, I will butcher the pronunciation, Fod Tilla Hursk. And I bought it, and I got back to the car, and there was a Motown CD inside. So I went back
Dude,
in
that
the store. I'm
happened
like, can I get a refund on this?
That happened to Matt. He bought carbonized disharmonization, and he put it in the thing, and he thought it was just an intro where it was like some flamenco guitar, but then the entire CD was like some Spanish flamenco guitar CD.
Oh, but was it a CD that said carbonized on it?
I don't know if the CD did, but the case, it was the carbonized disharmonization, and it like turned out it was something else.
Because the one I got was very clearly a Motown CD on the label. I didn't even put it in the player. I'm just like, nope, this is wrong. And but you know what? Credit to the store. They said, you know what? We'll have a look around. If we find the CD that goes with the case, then we'll give you a call. 2 months go by, and they call me. They're like, hey, we actually found the CD. You can come by and pick it up. So I did. I didn't say it was a good story. It's just a story.
Definitely
It
interesting.
happens.
Man, but what are we here for today, Fred?
Today, in a Bunsen Burner podcast. First, we are going to discuss the entire recorded discography of a band, which is actually only 3 songs long. We are going to be discussing Incarnator.
I'll say it first. Battery.
They did not hide that fact. So a bit of background on Incarnator, Norwegian band. Dude behind the band, a certain Zifrianus, formed them in, I think, 91. Sanrab from Gehenna was in the band shortly, but never recorded anything with them. He recorded a promo demo in I think February 92 with the track In Nocturnal Glory. And then in October of the same year, he went back into a studio and recorded the Nordic Holocaust demo, which is what most people know from Incarnator. And then after recording a glorious 13 minutes of music, decided, you know what? We're going to call it a day. And hasn't been heard of since, from a metal perspective anyways. I saw that there's an updated photo of him on his profile on Metal Archives. I have no idea what that photo is
Yeah, I
from.
saw that too.
But
It looks really cool.
but you know what? It's one of my favorite Norwegian recordings, and definitely one of my favorite Norwegian demos. And for the time frame it was recorded, I mean, this was released around the same time as the first Burzum, as the second Dark Throne. This is pretty early on in Norwegian black metal, so worth a listen, I think.
So do you think that's kind of the significance is kind of how early it was?
Well, I don't know how influential it was, because I don't know how widespread it was. I know that he was in contact with Euronymous, and I mean, he offered this to a lot of people, but Euronymous offered to release an album on Death Like Silence of Incarnator. I mean, obviously that never happened. And I don't know if that played a part in him dissolving the band, but the information I read was basically that he was sick of the black metal scene getting more and more popular in 92. And decided just to leave. So, yeah.
And what track are we listening to?
Oh yeah.
We are going to listen to the tracks in chronological order. So the first track is going to be from the 92 promo, In Nocturnal Glory.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Oh, that sucked.
It was your own pick, man.
I know. What was I thinking?
We
No,
were
so that's
just saying.
the promo track from '92.
Yeah, some Norwegian second wave from '92.
It's so like from my notes on this one, that riff after the opening like kind of gallop where the drums give out for a bit, you know, da na 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 na. That to me is ripped right out of Desiree from Bathory. That middle part where they're before he just screams Desiree and kicks back into overdrive with the solo. Um, but what stands out to me on this track, especially for '92, I mean, think about the time frame. This was recorded in February '92. The first Burzum had just been recorded and was going to be released soon. The second Dark Throne album wasn't out yet. To have this kind of second wave black metal, but have that ambient interlude right in the middle of the track, you didn't really see that yet. I thought that was really cool.
And nothing's really a trend at this point in '92.
No,
Like, is fucking a blaze in the northern sky? That's '92, right?
it's a '92, yeah, but I think it was released after this was recorded.
Oh man.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only things I was getting like comparisons from was like I said, that second Iljarn demo, the 7 harmonies of Unknown Truths, especially with like
Yeah.
that first riff, just as like how like primitive it is with especially the drumming, and then yeah, that second demo from Mutilation too, where it kind of gets into that like kind of melancholic like melody, that tremolo riff towards the end.
Yeah,
Uh,
the back half, yeah.
yeah, Ceremony of Black Colt.
Yeah, and I guess both me and you, Paul, we heard kind of emotional like mutilation stuff
Yeah.
during that like back half.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that one riff that like, man, I can't pinpoint exactly what I've heard it from, but I've heard it a few times. That riff, it's like bam 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 bam.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely.
can't exactly pinpoint what it's from, but I feel like I've heard that a lot of times, much like later,
Yeah,
at least 10 years later, like 5 to 10 years later.
because that was just like a.
Is it Greek? That seems to be a running theme in our.
No. It's definitely not Greek. It's actual black metal.
Yeah, so-
I just couldn't pinpoint what it was. I was even like a couple days ago. I was listening to it. I was trying to pinpoint like, what is that riff? It's just 2 simple chords, but yeah, I feel like I've heard it so many times.
Yeah, surprisingly, this one.
And this might be the earliest version of it.
I was gonna say, surprisingly, this isn't doesn't sound like Greek black metal.
No, this song doesn't, and the later stuff, which we'll get into later, but that didn't either. That doesn't really sound like Greek black metal either.
Another first.
This song, man. Well, who else does that? Like the oh, you know what it kind of reminds me of now that I think about it a little bit, which is, it's not an influence, but it might have been influenced at least by certain other bands doing this. Is fucking that okay? This is Greek, but they don't sound Greek. What the hell is that NS? What the hell is that NS band? Wolf Knocked. Wolf Knocked does stuff like that.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
With
I guess.
shit, I don't even know what the name of that fucking album is. That like their one album where it's mostly RAC. The one where it's like a bunch of crosses. Toten for
Yeah.
Wotan. I like how that rhymes. Toten for Wotan. Yeah, it kind of reminds me a lot of that. That comes out in 2003, so it's much later. And a lot
I
of
do
stuff,
really wonder how influential this demo. Well, I mean, this one is one that had less distribution of the Incarnator releases. It didn't even have a proper cover, as far as I'm aware. It's just spread to people through tape trading. But on one hand, it's so obscure, but on the other hand, it's so early too for black metal. I wonder how much of an influence this managed to get, at the very least, locally.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't know. I mean, absurd. I'm looking at it now. Now that we were talking about Wolf Knocked for like a minute or like a second, uh, Absurd has the demo with the Gates of Heaven, which is kind of like this, but much slower. Yeah, Absurd God's Death, the demo in '92. They have Gates of
Hmm.
Heaven on there. Um, and I never thought to I never really thought to compare Absurd to anything, but where the fuck does Absurd get their sound from? Because they're mixing already like this kind of extremely simplistic punk and black metal sound that Invocator or Incarnator kind of has, but it's more focused on kind of a Scandinavian sound that barely started existing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's what was that? The band that came before Strid, Malfader. That was real evil as well, and I could kind of see some similarities between this one track and the demos that Malfader put out in like 91, 92. But I don't know. It's a weird little track. It kind of exists in a void, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially
I don't
like
know.
we were saying with having the little interlude section in the middle of the song rather than it being like a separate song or in between songs like a traditional interlude would be. It's like
Mhm.
literally in between riffs.
Yeah, and I mean that was something that Burzin had started doing, right? Like they had the Crying Orc and what's that outro, Dungeons of Darkness on the self title, but they weren't incorporated into the actual song, right?
Hmm.
So, oh, and channeling the power of soul, blah blah blah, blah whatever. But yeah, like I can't think of many other instances where a black metal band this early on incorporated like a flat out ambient break into the middle of a track.
Yeah, and like with the drums, do you think that's him actually just playing that, or what do you think's going on with that? Because it's just kind of what, three
From
beats.
from what I'm aware of, yes, it's just him playing all the instruments.
Yeah, because that's like among some of the first like second wave-ish like black metal bands that are being one man projects. Obviously Burzum and Bathory way before that, and then I can't really think of any other ones off the top of my head that were doing like one man projects like in this raw sort of black metal style.
What
Besides like
about
No,
Graveland
there
earlier.
really weren't many.
What
Okay.
about a band called Isvind? Fred, do you know who that is? They had a demo
Yeah,
called "The Call of the Ice Wind."
yeah. Dark Water Stir, great album.
That's '92 as well, and it's also from Norway. And
Hmm.
they don't have an ambient interlude in the middle of the song, but they have one at the beginning of the song, and it's still got like a kind of fully fledged black metal feel to it. Like the chords are all trimmed, the production is just it's fucking really raw.
Yeah.
And they're kind of doing the same thing. Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean it.
it's funny. It's when you start digging more into Norway, you really do see how many bands that were earlier on that people forget that they were around that early. Like you guys, you remember the band Tulus, Tulus?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one
they've
where
been
he's wearing braids.
yeah, they've
Hmm.
been around forever. They have demos back to '93.
Do they sound like second wave? Because I don't think I've heard the demos. I think I've only heard the album.
The earliest demo is really rough sounding, but yeah, they're getting there too. Like for when it comes to like the Norwegian sound, like the demos you really want to look at are Thorns, right? And the Stigma Diabolicum stuff. I think those were the ones that were the most influential on the sound. But like I wouldn't discount bands like Incarnator and Isvind and Malfader. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, the closest thing to this I could find, especially this early and like kind of just a demo band, was Isvind. I feel like that might be, or at least to this promo, that's the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
they kind of got like a drastic change on the next release, the Nordic Holocaust, where it's like heavier production and a little bit leaning more on the Bathory influence on that. Should we check out one of the tracks for there?
I think we should.
All right, part one, right?
Yeah. So part one, on the bootleg compilation, the one on Banger Records that we were talking about earlier, they label the tracks as part one being called Necromancy and part two being called The Final Battle. I don't know how official that title listing is because the cassette has no track listing in it at all, but it does have a little quote. I don't know. It's not from the lyrics, I can tell you that, but
Oh, you
it
got the
says,
physical.
I do. I have I have the cassette and the
Yeah,
bootleg CD.
heard the
Let's
creaky
get
door.
physical, physical.
But it says, Unity uttermost showed. I adore the might of thy breath, supreme and terrible God, who makest the gods and death. To tremble before thee, I adore thee. So, not lyrics. I don't know what that's from, but that's all the booklet says. There is no recording information, no track list, nothing. So, whoever made the bootleg CD had a fair bit of information on this. So, it was some sort of insider who put it together. There's even a picture of the Incarnator logo and address handwritten by Zifrianus. So this guy had some sort of connections to whatever. So in any case, part one, possibly titled Necromancy, is the one we'll be playing first.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back.
Oh, that ruled.
Yeah, that was a good one. Didn't you have this
This
as a
is
sample for one of the earlier episodes?
Yeah, it was a sample
probably.
for what episode was it that you sampled this? Oh, I think it was the excrement episode, episode 6.
Hmm.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, this is one of my favorite Norwegian demos and recordings in general from there. So,
Well, I think you used 2 Norwegian bands that sounded like Bathory. You did this and then Hades Almighty.
yes,
Hades.
Hmm.
the solo from Glorious. Again, the Northland shall become. That's a great track.
But man, this the production just like got beefed up, and they have like down-tuned guitars. Definitely heavy metal, influence, which is coming through with the Bathory.
Yeah.
And man, when you got a riff that good, just for sure, just keep fucking playing it for 4 minutes.
Just keep hammering away on it. Yeah, it works. It works. It sounds like a cleaned up version of Born for Burning.
I thought it sounded like Welcome to Hell.
And right at the
Yeah.
beginning with the guitar coming in, the feedback, it sounded like a Slipknot.
Which Slipknot? Which song?
I
I
wouldn't
think it's
know.
Surfacing or Sick. It's like
I don't know that one. I
have
thought
to
you
take
were.
your
I
word
thought you were
for it.
thinking of the. I thought you were thinking of that song with the feedback where it goes. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, I think that's the one.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
But yeah, that intro riff. Right when I heard it, I thought of Welcome to Hell, and it's even got that like little tail end of the song, which also kind of sounds like Submit to Death from Grotesque. And me and Paul were saying
Yeah.
if this sounded a little bit more death metal, and I think that's fair. As the song goes on,
At the interstitial
Um,
riff.
the interstitial part with the keyboards, me and Fred were kind of saying sounds like Gehenna, which you already pointed
Yeah.
out. This has a member of Gehenna.
Yeah,
The
not-
shivering voice of the
It did.
ghost. That one,
He wasn't involved in the recording, but he was in there in '91.
Yeah, I mean, maybe somehow his influence got in here, but maybe not. I mean, it's all just like
He
speculation.
could have been part of the songwriting, right? Who knows?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It does. It feels like the keyboard of Gehenna. It's like the keyboards of that first Gehenna EP. I think it's called First Spell, with like something that could have been off of a Nirvana 2002,
Hmm.
like Morning,
Yeah.
or something off of a Grave, Into the Grave. Just slowed down. If it was one of those bands, the drums would be going. But instead
Yeah.
here they're going.
Hey,
They're
you mentioned
doing
the beefed up production, though. It makes sense. The first track we listened to was recorded on like just a Porta studio, and this one they actually went to, or he went to Sound Suite Studios in Norway, and that's where Gehenna recorded some of their stuff. Dismal Euphony, Twin Obscenity, like a bunch of bands recorded there. So it was a bit of a. I think Carpathian Forest recorded there too. But yeah, that was a major improvement in the sound. Not everything coming out on just one side of the speakers. Good God.
I know, yeah, the vocals are just like panned all the way to the right for the promo, but I
And
wonder
the drums are shoved all the way to the left.
yeah. I wonder how it would have sounded, with the the tremolo parts with that beefy production, and especially being like with down tune too. It would have been interesting sound.
Yeah, it's really too bad they didn't record that song again for this demo. That would have been a really cool version to hear, because I do love that first, or that version of the track, but it's rough, man. Like, something needs to be done to that track to make it a bit more palatable for most people.
Yeah, this one definitely takes the cake out of just production wise for me. I would say, yeah, this song definitely is the one that took the cake for me, honestly.
Yeah, it is for me too. It's the track that like pulled me into Incarnator. I mean, there's only 3 to pick from, but like when I was deep diving into the Norwegian scene, like God knows how long ago. I had eventually read about this demo and downloaded it off of whatever the fuck program I was using. The second I hit play, that opening and constant riff just blew my mind. I'm like, shit, this is like Bathory, but like slowed down, creepier. The vocals are fantastic. The lyrics are great. It sounds like an invocation of Lucifer, exactly what he says at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fantastic. I wish it was longer. I wish there were more tracks to it. But for what it is, it's pretty airtight.
yeah. And then Dan was saying like the vocals at halfway through the song, it sound like Abbott.
Yeah,
It's a little deeper.
a bit more a bit more emotive I find than Abath, but
It is a bit more emotive. It really does sound like the vocal pattern for Welcome to Hell, and it's actually pretty interesting. It's like it does sound like Bathory, but more beefed up, but at the same time like more slowed down than something like Enemy, which is a little bit older too.
mm,
And I guess I would kind of compare this song in particular to Enemy because they had a bunch of tracks that sounded like this, like the basic Venom sound, just fatter and dirtier,
yeah.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's virtually impossible to talk about early Bathory and not bring up Venom, anyways, right? Like it's.
almost.
I know Quarthon said he didn't listen to Bathory, but we're all gonna call bullshit on that.
You mean Venom?
Venom, yeah.
Marathon doesn't listen to a
I'm
single
influenced by
damn
my
band.
own recordings. I'm
Yeah, I
tired.
mean,
It's late here, guys.
like Paul said, I hear a lot of like death metal in here, like death metal influence straight up. It has the black metal spirit, but it has the death metal kind of approach a little bit.
I don't know. Is there death
Even with the
metal that's like
stomping.
going this slow, like at this sort of pace with?
No,
Because it's
no,
like
no,
more. They would go
no,
like into Doom
no.
territory.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the riffing is kind like again, it kind of reminds me of like Grotesque or Grave or Nirvana 2002 or something. But the overall like atmosphere that exudes, the speed is I don't want to say second wave because it really doesn't
Yeah,
sound
not this one.
the way Burzum sounds or Dark. It doesn't sound like any of those bands, but it still kind of exudes that. If anything, it feels like Falkenbach or something, like the way the atmosphere
Maybe
exudes or
Countess.
something. Who?
Countess.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
a
I would
little
say
bit.
Countess for sure. And somehow, fucking Falkenbach.
Viking era
Yeah,
Bathory. Yeah.
I don't know what. Well, I wouldn't say the original Falkenbach stuff sounds exactly like Bathory, because they kind of go all over the all over the place. Um, I guess that first album was '96, but they had been doing shit since 1989.
Hmm.
Falkenbach had demos since
Yeah, I think
'89.
I've only listened to their albums.
Yeah, I feel like I might have heard their demos, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure. But '96, yeah, you have the fucking you have all kinds of faster paced black metal stuff that's actually influenced by probably the Norwegian scene.
Hmm.
And then as you go on to like the 2013 album, the Asa album, I mean, if you even look at the fucking the cover art, it's like kind of similar to the Incarnator Nordic Holocaust thing.
Yeah, where it's
It's a
like
little
a
bit different.
like a lake. Yeah, different angle.
But then again, I mean, Falkenbach, they have the same atmosphere as Incarnator. They have the same speed. They have the same type of riffs, but they also do like it's like they're half a Bathory fucking worship band, and then they're half like a pagan, uh, more sped up the type of thing. So I don't exactly know what the other influences are. We're not talking about Falkenbach, but I am for like a minute. Uh, but yeah, it's got a cool atmosphere. It's got a cool
Dude,
vibe to it, man.
Yeah, and then the drum beat during the like death metal interstitial part where it's like half of like the adventure rock beat, it's like, you know, that shit was
Yeah,
sick.
we're going on an adventure. He's I mean, what is the significance of the name Nordic Holocaust? Is that talking about like
Well, he was like the
the
lyrics.
Holocaust of the Nords?
The lyrics, from what you can hear, it's like a Viking, raid that's going on. From what you can make out of it,
Maybe a Holocaust caused by the Nords.
could be.
The interpretation I've always taken of it is they use the term Holocaust in the sacrificial sense, so like a sacrifice by fire, and so it kind of has that Viking connotation in that sense for me. So that's kind of how I've always interpreted it.
But YouTube says there's another. I'm just kidding. Another definition of that word.
Hubba-jibba, hubba-jibba, hubba-jibba. What does YouTube say? The Hebrew something?
Yeah.
YouTube has they just pull out buzzwords and give you definitions.
Buzzwords like triggered snowflake,
Yeah, Nordic.
and Nordic. Triggered Nordic snowflake.
So, with that, I think
It's
we
getting
can play
the
part two.
last song of this
Yeah.
band's entirety.
Entirety.
Is there a Nordic Holocaust snowflake? Aw.
All right, we're gonna listen to part 2. We'll be right back. Alright, we're back from part 2.
Right. Key to the Gate, Burzum. That's what that intro riff is.
Yeah, and the main hook riff of this was you said Key to the Gate?
Key to the Gate, or a Soulside Journey riff, or
It just sounds finished to me. I don't really know where to throw the dart, but just in that
let's
direction.
just say Funebre.
And then yeah, that second half where it goes into like the Death Crush mayhem sort of like, I don't know.
That sliding riff is kind of Death Crush.
Mhm.
Well, Fred said that's a Celtic Frost riff, which is I
is
feel like
mayhem.
black metal bands are still doing that to this day. They will not stop going. They won't stop doing the Celtic Frost sliding power chord riff.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's part of the structure, man. Foundation.
Black metal
Bass is the
basics.
Bass is the foundation of the band.
Black metal 101.
Incarnator knew it.
Hey man, they had their
we
shit
have that
together.
kind of chugging riff that, to me, it reminded me of the, I believe it's the first Acheron demo, the one where he's like, Father, who art in hell. What the hell is the name of that song? I don't know. Is anybody even a fan of Acheron? Are you guys even fans of that demo?
I am, but I don't remember the demos.
All right. Well,
Dude, like there was a video where J Dog was talking about Akron, but he pronounces it Akron. He's like, if you don't know fucking Akron, you don't know shit. And I was like, who the fuck is Akron? I was like, oh, okay, Akron. All right.
well, Fred, you pronounce the Japanese band Sabat, don't you?
Sabat?
There you go. It's a baseball bat.
Do you pronounce it Sabat or Sabat?
I pronounce it Sabat.
Oh, do you? I could have sworn you said Sabat.
Sabat.
Wait, did you?
Sabat.
Sabbat. That's what I say. I say Sabbat.
I think maybe they're both right. I don't know.
Well, I remember that band Black Widow, Paul, that 70s like occult band.
Yeah.
They have a song called "Come to the Sabbath," and
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
a clean song. And he says, "Come to the Sabbath, Satan's there." He pronounces it Sabbath, and I always just thought it was strange. I had a friend who pronounced it Sabbat, and I'm like, I never said anything about it, but I always thought it was strange. I'm like, Sabbat? No. It's Sabbath without the H. Sabbath.
Dang nabbit.
It's a simple.
But yeah, definitely from the same cloth, but the first part 1 is what takes the cake for me, like I said, but they do have the same formula sort of thing going on here with, the main like hook riff and then, transition into the further part, but just having that outro though. And then
Well, like I
vocals
said, to
panning
me this second track is the more interesting of the two. I prefer the first one, but this one has more going on to it.
Yeah,
There's more tempo changes, more variation on the riffing.
yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but like saying like it's weird, like it's not like quite like Black Doom or Death Doom, but it's just like death metal isn't played like with this sort of like slow groove. It's either like the groove is like accentuated with like death and roll, or it's just like no groove, and it's kind of just like Death Doom type shit. And then this is just kind of in a, I don't know, I think it's just the heavy metalism in it, especially with the Celtic Frost part.
I've heard Fred say this, and I've also heard the death metal guys say this, that they don't really like the term first wave black metal. I think that's an important term. I think it kind of helps distinguish like sounds of earlier bands, and I think 92 might be the like cutoff year for what first wave black metal might be, because I mean this song especially doesn't sound like anything like the Norwegian second wave that you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
Kind of has.
I
A
mean,
mix of
it
everything in
sounds like Bathory, and there's no real denying that there's a strong Bathory influence in there.
No,
And
there's no denying. Paul
so
was just
does
kidding when he said that.
Bathory.
but I mean, like, so does Blazing the Northern Sky, right? Like,
Oh yeah, well
they
that's
just ripped off the Return. There's no
that's exactly
questioning
what I'm
that.
saying. Is the early black metal releases like Blazing the Northern Sky don't have a full-fledged guitar styling or drum styling. It's kind of a mix of like very slowed down thrash and
Mm.
traditional heavy metal and death metal. Even death metal had already been around for quite a while at the time. It's kind of a mix of all these things, but kind of condensed and kind of like made into an atmospheric sort of thing.
Kvlt.
Yeah, and
Vault,
I
yeah.
really have no problems with the term first wave black metal because
Yeah, I think it's
I think
just
I think it's a helpful
yeah.
umbrella to just categorize band that helped influence what would become the second wave. But the thing is, I think people don't like it because they don't think that those bands sound like what we expect black metal to sound like, but nor should they. I am
That's why it's
perfectly
first.
happy
That's why
calling
it's yeah. That's why
exactly.
it's
I'm
first
perfectly
wave.
happy calling Venom and Bathory first wave black metal, but I'm also happy calling Merciful Fate and Angel Witch as part of that umbrella because they were hugely influential in black metal. And they might not sound like what we think black metal would sound like today, but that's not the point.
Yeah, I might disagree with you a
Well,
little bit with the
bro,
Angel Witch thing.
that's proto black, bro. No, just kidding.
No. I don't want to even say proto black. That's heavy metal. That's like way too early. I want to say like, geez, I don't know. Flames of Hell. Okay, let's just say Venom for the sake of argument. Venom is a first wave black metal band, and Bathory's first wave black metal band. I kind of consider this in this sense, maybe not the first recording, but this one exactly is a first wave sound. It doesn't sound anything like the black metal that people expect it to sound like. It's kind of coming from a strange time where black metal is a thing, but it still has a lot of classic influences from other places.
I
Kind
had
of
no
like
defined boundaries at that point yet.
yes, exactly. Like a band called Grimm. I can't remember what this band is from. A band called Grimm with their Nordisk Winter
Oh,
demo
that's
in
that's a
'93.
pre-Carpathian Forest band.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I didn't know
Yep.
that. See, Abaddon is another one too. From I believe they're from Brazil. Or no, yeah, Abaddon. Hale Crowley from
Hmm.
'93. What else do we have here? Anubis might be another one.
Oh, Anubis
Uh,
from Austria. They're fantastic.
yeah. They have an album called A Halal or something.
Yeah.
Um, oh, who's another? There's a couple other really interesting ones I think that are like pretty darn similar to what this the Nordic Holocaust demo sounds like. Asmodeus, I believe they were from Norway too. They had a demo called Garden of Eden in '93. And you kind of have the same thing going on. You kind of have a second wave mix with death metal and doom metal and heavy metal. And probably the most similar that I found, I was doing a little bit of cramming today, actually, right right before I was getting off work. Uh, band called Cerberus from Sweden. In '92, they have a demo called Cursed Flesh, and that has like it's mostly kind of this pace. It's mostly kind of the mid pace doom, slowed down thrash, and I always loved that about the early black metal stuff. The like slowed down, evilized version of thrash. I feel like
Hmm.
Morbid kind of had that too,
Hmm.
to some extent. The December Moon or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
I believe it's December
Yep.
Moon. Yeah.
man, and I don't think we said it. I think we spoke too soon, but there was a riff that sounded like it was from Veritron in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
if it's
Had to
true, it's
happen.
true.
Yeah, if it fits, it sits.
I
So,
think I think that's gonna happen the more and more we go farther back in time. The farther back we go to like the beginning stages of uh, like black and death metal and heavy metal, we're gonna end up talking about Rotting Christ and Marathon. That's just gonna happen, I think.
You know, that's the thing though. With like when it comes to the waves of black metal, I think it people think there's like a hard and fast sound and time period to all of them, and there isn't, right? It has to be like it's a spectrum. There's shades of gray. Like bands will fall here and there and can fall in both. But I don't remember if we've mentioned this before, but to me the landmark moment where it shifted to second wave, I've always kind of considered it as Dark Throne's Blaze in the Northern Sky. Not necessarily because it did anything differently from a sound perspective. It really was just the return rehashed. But it was kind of just like the right place, the right time, the right visual, the right aesthetic. It kind of just like encapsulated what black metal was going to be for the next like 20 years. Right? They had the the dude on the corpse on the cover with the corpse paint. It had the raw production, the Bathory influence. It kind of had everything that was going to be moving forward in black metal. So regardless of how it sounds, like to me, like if you ask me when the second wave of black metal started, I don't think there's a hard and fast answer to that. But my arbitrary point is that one. That's the one I pick.
Yeah, so Incarnator was a little bit before that. So it
Yeah.
does
Well,
kind of,
Irreverent from the U.S. had a demo in '92, but that again, that's a little bit, it's a little bit more death metal. But I feel
Sorry,
like
which
this,
band?
Irreverent.
Oh yeah.
Crush the Messiah. I think it's like the same cover as the damn Black Witchery split with Conqueror.
Well, they became Black Witchery, right?
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, Irreverent became Black Witchery.
Oh shit! Yeah, see, again, here I go again, not knowing anything. But I found Irreverent, and that makes total sense. But that Irreverent's kind of more interesting than Black Witchery, aren't they?
I mean, it depends on your point of view, I suppose. But
My point of view is they got Black Wave or Black Wave. They got second wave stuff. they got second wave stuff, and then they got the death metal stuff in there. They got the Belial stuff up there, and I didn't know Irreverent is Black Witch. You're not fucking with me, are you?
don't
no,
fuck with me, man.
Irreverent became Black Witchery.
I just fucking hate people, man. I'm the baddest motherfucker who ever lived, man. Was
Well,
it in Bentaygo skit?
well, on that note, do you guys want to get into the final words of this discography?
Oh.
I think we can do that.
All right,
Look out!
go Dan.
Who, me? Okay.
Go, Danny, go.
Go, Danny. Go, Johnny. Go, go, go. It's your cousin, Marvin Berry. Sorry. Okay.
All right, Fred, go. Just kidding.
Shit, man. I was kind of at a loss for words for the promo release. It sounds like mutilation stuff. It's got like the Celtic Frost shit. It's got like all the black. Okay, the '92 promo has basically all the like pieces that work together and like make the second wave, and that still sound like that today. Like everything on the promo sounds like black metal sounds now. The next one is a little bit more interesting, where it's kind of Bathory and Venom, but it's also kind of death metal, and you also have like inklings of symphonic black metal in there. And yeah, it's a really interesting one. I would everybody who's heard this full episode has heard every song, so good on you.
Yeah, listen again.
Yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up that I forgot to at the beginning. I wanted to give a shout out to a YouTube channel called Proteus. That's Proteus. I had sent to the group, and Fred, you were saying like, yeah, there's a lot of kind of obscure shit in there.
Mhm.
And there totally is. There's a lot of it's mostly death metal and like thrash and power metal stuff that you haven't heard from. I want to say from like 90 to 98. But there's a ton of good stuff in there, dude. Check out this guy's channel, Proteus. It's fucking awesome.
Very nice. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the, let's say, promo 92 for me, you know, since the last episode, Fred said to check out some Iljarn, so I started off with the demos chronologically, and it just so happened to sound sort of like what Incarnator was doing on that demo, and you know, they just totally like bait and switch you with the next release, where it's just like way more heavy metal influence in it. They got death metal production. They got like the beefy low end down-tuned strings that you don't really hear in black metal. It's more of like a thin, sort of cold atmosphere that you get with the, you know, second wave-ish sort of stuff. And I don't know if this necessarily like fits with like a cult black metal so much either. I think it's kind of like on an island of its own. You know, because it has all the, you know, the right pieces to make second wave black metal, but just the way that they put it together, you know, made it sound unique on its own. And yeah, that first song, I'm gonna be listening to that shit all the time because it's just fucking epic.
Paul's gonna be bumping that shit.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll put it twice in the episode. All right, Freddie, take us home.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like, to me, this, when I think of Norwegian black metal, this is one of the first releases I think of because I like it that much. I think we've covered pretty well over this episode that Nordic Holocaust doesn't sound a ton like most of the Norwegian black metal that would be coming up. And I think a lot of the Norwegian black metal scene in the 90s was characterized, especially early on, by speed, right? Like, you know, Gorgoroth, Emperor, they were all like going as fast as they could on a lot of the tracks. And this kind of does the opposite. Like they slow to a crawl, especially for the beginning of that second track. And they kind of settle into that groove. And despite that, to me, this is quintessential Norwegian black metal. It has the aura, it has the atmosphere, even if it doesn't have the same necessarily style as a lot of the other bands that would come out. When it comes to this scene, to me, it's one of the crown jewels. It's always been one of my favorites when it comes to Norwegian black metal. I mean, what else can I say? This, the Emperor demo, other things like that are just top tier for me. So I would say go check it out, but you already have if you're listening to this point of the episode. So you've heard everything there is to hear. Go listen to it again.
That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Why don't you just kill yourself?
You my third world girl, want you in my world. I touch you wherever just to make your toes curl. You my third world girl, diamonds in the pearls. I touch you wherever just to make your toes curl. You my third world girl, I want you in my world. I touch you wherever just to make your toes curl. You my third world girl, I want you in my world. I touch you wherever just to make your toes curl. The whole function off of E-pills can't refill, cause we offer a battle, but Swan can't be still. I'm in the back of the space, Drake Polly getting laced. Said I'm playing with my nose, can't feel my face. Gucci game interracial, got the head game for Rachel. She only fuck with niggas both parents interracial. Diamonds in the sky, full penetration. We fucking in the morning like who cares who awake, I never felt love like that. I rap for the niggas who put to this and that. Always reached out, but never got back. Now they try to run my belly cause I guess I'm all that.